want to talk on playfoundups. What's playfoundups? Think of playfoundups as a real game of Risk. That's right. Imagine that you can ultimately have an augmented reality app on your iPhone and on your Android phone where you can basically pin things like you see chemicals running into the river. You know for a fact that this farmer here is using pesticides because you saw him and you can pin it. And when you pin red flags and green flags, and we start working together in identifying which are the GMO, which are the toxic, which are the Monsanto, which are the chemicals, and if you see a farmer like I did spraying Roundup, the idea is to create basically a map on the planet that actually shows the red and the green. I want you to imagine, for example, like that factory over there. It produces, it's unsustainable, it's causing harm, and on the augmented reality app, it just becomes this monster to be slain. And ultimately, the bigger the problems, kind of the bigger the monsters they are for us to slay. So how do we convert this river into one that we can swim in? Well, we have to convert green all along the river, right? It's that simple. So, so playfoundups is about allowing us the ability to basically, number one, identify the problem. Number two, what it does is encourage you to drop green flags. So in my neighborhood, probably my yard is the only yard which has a green flag. Why? Because it is a permaculture, organic, natural farming garden, and I got all sorts of wildlife there that live and benefit. But the thing is, all of this around me, right, would all be red. I want you to imagine all this is red. I want you to imagine, like, when I look at this through my app, I basically see kind of a writhing lizard. When I look at this water down here, right, I'll be able to paint it on the app, just draw on the app, right? And basically, it just becomes toxic. The water there going into that water, the river here. So what we can do is create kind of like a real-time augmented reality game of Risk. The whole purpose is this. We want people to launch foundups. You see, foundups can be anything. Foundups can be aquaponics, agroponics. It could be permaculture. It could be sustainable living. It can be, any sort of farming, any sort of activity. As long as, number one, it helps the planet's systems, right? And two, they agree that they're going to reinvest 80% of the net profits. This is our scalability. This is very important, right? Investing the 80% of net profits allows us to scale up faster than the enemy, right? Because none of these guys are investing 80% of their net profits into launching more of what they're doing, or scaling up what they're doing, or supporting others that are doing foundups. So imagine an app where basically we can create a real game of Risk on the planet, and we can encourage, and not only that, provide a mechanism, a never-ending crowdfunding solution, somewhat like Patreon has that, but also offer something called passive crowdfunding, which is a new business model that ultimately you can say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and if people like it, it automatically funds itself because likes and follows and everything else actually creates revenue in that thing, right, that you are doing. And at some point, it's going to raise enough in order to launch as a crowdfunding campaign. That actually goes out to everyone on our app and says, "Hey, we're about to launch a monster to slay. Right? We're launching a foundup. A foundup is a good thing, right? Potentially, a startup is a bad thing. The thing is, you don't know when you say I'm doing a startup. What does that mean? When you hear I'm doing a foundup, it means, hey, I'm doing something that's going to help save the planet. I'm doing something that I'm going to take 80% of net profits and reinvest it back into launching more found-ups, or scaling up my found-up, or supporting others' found-ups. That's what makes found-ups so important, right? Because no other business model that we have on our planet, number one, does that in the sense that as a people, for the people, right, we're going to launch more found-ups in order to save our planet together. My name is Michael Trout, trying to kind of share with you the idea, the vision of found-ups, and encouraging you to join as a patron to help us launch and develop this app at playfoundups.com. Thanks. It's